When I woke up, the earth had become a gaming ground. A group of unknown creatures, calling themselves players, began a game fighting over cards. They rampaged through the cities, slaughtering people, all to find a single rare card. Until one day, that rare card fell into my hands, and I'm just a human. They say the cards from these aberrations can grant extraordinary powers, so out of curiosity, I aimed the tip of my knife at the dying aberration on the ground and stabbed. An unknown green and purple slime oozed out. I pushed down again with more force, and with a crack. The monster's body suddenly went rigid, then quickly went limp, showing no more signs of life. Then, from that pile of flesh and blood, a card began to emerge. It was blood red and slightly transparent. It floated silently in midair as if it were weightless. An eye was clearly etched onto its surface. I'd seen a lot of posts online discussing these cards, so I was a bit confused. Didn't they all say the cards were silver? Why is this one this color? I reached out to touch it, and the blood red card instantly melted. It burrowed into my pores through my fingertip and vanished without a trace. Clear words appeared in my mind. Congratulations, you have been authenticated by the card. You are the source of life, the mother of the world. You possess a powerful physique and inexhaustible strength. As long as a glimmer of life remains, you are nearly impossible to kill. For some reason, the card's name appeared as garbled text. Just as I was marveling at this, the text suddenly changed. It was replaced by several lines of giant red words that completely filled my mind. A warning sound made my head buzz, and then the text in my mind changed once more. Warning. You are not a player. Card genes are undergoing an unknown mutation. In that instant, a sharp pain shot through my brain. Every cell in my body began to undergo a violent transformation. The reaction from my body caught me completely off guard. I gritted my teeth, holding onto the desk for support. In just a dozen seconds, I was completely drenched in sweat. Then, a pain as if every bone in my body was shattering shot through me. I couldn't take it and fell to my knees. Cold sweat poured off me, and my vision started to swim. It hurt so much that even breathing was agony, and every heartbeat felt like a stab. I don't know how long it took, but the intense pain finally faded. I opened my eyes. In a daze, I looked down at my hands. They hadn't changed at all. I couldn't feel any superpowers either. Everything around me was silent. It was as if nothing had ever happened. At that same moment, all players received a message. Hidden boss, the broodmother spawn, has been born. Danger level is unknown. All players, find and eliminate the broodmother as soon as possible. The next day, I woke up feeling completely refreshed. I felt better than I ever had before. I figured my superpowers must be the powerful physique and inexhaustible strength. That would explain why I feel so full of energy now. However, this ability seems to have a side effect. I'm incredibly hungry. I remembered I had some frozen buns in the fridge. I opened it, took them out, and put them in the microwave. The microwave needed a few minutes, so I turned and went to the bathroom to wash up. I casually opened a trending news alert on my phone. Aberration murder incident in Times Square. Total casualties have reached 27. The aberrations possess human-like intelligence. They call themselves players and use human bodies as vessels for their activities. And they call this process logging in. An aberration that has logged into a human body will typically disguise itself as a normal person. The public is urged to remain on high alert. If you spot anyone acting suspiciously, please call the aberration hotline immediately. A reward of 10,000 yuan will be given for any valid tips, and a reward of 1 million yuan for successfully killing an aberration. While brushing my teeth, I froze. I grabbed my phone with my toothbrush still in hand and realized I hadn't misheard. The government had issued a bounty order. You get a $1 million reward for killing a Xeno. If the Xeno you kill is on the wanted list, the rewards can even stack. You could get up to 8 million. I couldn't help but glance at the toilet in my bathroom. If only this news had come out a few hours earlier. That was $1 million. Oh well, you've got to look forward in life. I've always had a positive mindset. After washing up, I took some steaming hot buns out of the microwave. I threw on a sports jacket and headed out. The Loop Line subway was packed during the morning rush hour. There wasn't a single empty seat. I leaned against the glass window. I had already finished those 6 big buns on the way. The feeling of being full only lasted for a short 20 minutes. Now I feel hungry again. What kind of superpower is this, anyway? The message said the card's genes had undergone an unknown change. Does that mean I'll just get a huge appetite? My mind started to wander. It looks like I'll have to keep candy and chocolate bars with me from now on. Next stop, Tian Shui Park. I glanced up at the electronic display announcing the station. Out of the corner of my eye, I vaguely noticed something. At the connection point to the car behind, a man was staring right at me. Our eyes met. The corners of the man's mouth turned up in a strange smile. I felt uneasy. What kind of psycho is this? I saw the man start moving towards me. He was trying to push through the crowded car to get to me. Something felt wrong. The subway arrived at Tian Shui Park Station. A large number of passengers flooded out the doors. I decisively followed the crowd off the train. A strong sense of unease washed over me. Although he looked like an ordinary office worker, my intuition told me I had to get away as fast as possible. Could he be a Xeno? I wondered as I walked forward, keeping an eye on the commotion behind me. Suddenly, I heard someone scream from behind. I didn't look back, I just took off running. The crowd scattered in terror. The danger was approaching fast. My heart was pounding, my blood flow surged, and my physical senses became sharper than ever before. In a flash, I took a huge leap forward, landing in a roll. A blade like a scythe slammed into the floor, nearly slicing off my heel. The well-dressed man from before had now swelled in size, his two arms transformed into scythe-like blades. The murderous intent on his face was barely concealed, his eyes filled with a frenzied excitement. I got up and ran. The sudden appearance of this Xeno threw the subway station into chaos. Everyone was frantically running toward the exits. The turnstile passage, in just half a minute, was crammed with panicked people, as more passengers continuously swarmed in from behind. I was quickly swallowed up by the dense crowd. The next second, the Xeno behind me leapt high into the air and landed right in front of me. I held my breath, so fast, the scythe was raised and then swung down. I watched helplessly as the person in front of me was decapitated. The Xeno came charging at me. I turned to run. Just then, guards arrived from the side. They raised their guns and opened fire. For a moment, the entire subway station was filled with deafening gunfire. Dense sprays of blood burst from the Xeno's body. However, the bullets had very little effect on the Xeno. Even a shot to the heart couldn't kill it instantly. Instead, it only intensified its murderous rage. Its face became even more. And then, like an enraged beast, it charged toward the guards. Hiding behind the pillar, my nerves were stretched taut, my mind racing. What should I do? I desperately racked my brain. I spotted a bright red fire extinguisher box nearby. While the creature's attention was on the guards, I immediately dashed over, grabbed the fire extinguisher, and quickly pulled the pin. Then I charged at the creature and squeezed the handle. White foam blasted out like a blizzard. This stuff isn't lethal, but it'll blind it. That way, no matter how fast it is, it'll just be flailing around blindly. Of course, the creature wasn't just going to stand there and take it. It let out an enraged roar. It swung its scythe-like arm right where I was standing. It was too fast, I couldn't dodge. I lifted the fire extinguisher to block. The bony blade of the scythe clashed against it. The metal casing of the extinguisher was ripped open. Immediately after, the scythe swung at me again. I dodged to the side. The creature's eyes were completely covered in foam, but it could still pinpoint my location. The tip of its blade grazed my back shoulder as it slashed past. I scrambled to my feet and bolted for the exit without a second's hesitation. I burst out of the subway station entrance. The once bustling street was now pure chaos. Drivers and pedestrians were scattering in a panic. I spotted an overturned motorcycle. I pulled the bike up and jumped on. Blood from my wound was streaming down my arm. Rage burned inside me. The rearview mirror showed the creature chasing me out of the subway entrance. A cold determination set in. Staring at the monster in the mirror, I gritted my teeth. So, you think you're fast, huh? Let's see if you can keep up with this. I suddenly wrenched the handlebars, turning the bike around. The creature pursued me, its lower body sprouting 2 rows of insect-like legs. It let out an enraged shriek as it came after me. The threat of death was inches away, but I was strangely calm. I pushed the motorcycle to its top speed and shot into the park. I sped along the park's riverside path. Up ahead, a large patch of reeds came into view. The river glittered in the sunlight. I drove the motorcycle to a maintenance shed near the riverbank. It was empty inside, just filled with landscaping tools and old items left behind by tourists, like tents and umbrellas. I picked out a heavy axe from the pile. As I was leaving, I saw a kite leaning against the wall. A cold smile formed on my lips. I bent down, grabbed the kite as well, and left the shed. I ran quickly toward the riverbank. The motorcycle was fast enough to put some distance between me and the creature. But I knew it would catch up again. I vaulted over the waist-high guardrail. I slid quickly down the embankment and tied the kite string between two trees on the bank. Then I kicked off my shoes and waded, barefoot, into the dense reeds. My hands gripped the axe handle tightly, my eyes fixed coldly on the distance. Here it comes. The creature's silhouette appeared on the riverbank. It was even faster than I'd anticipated. By now, its upper body barely resembled a human, while its lower half had completely transformed into that of an insect. Its 6 legs scrambled furiously, carrying it straight towards me in the reeds. It was as if it had X-ray vision. Once my position was exposed, the ambush would be useless. But the smile on my face only widened. Come on, a little faster. The moment the monster lunged, I spun around and threw myself into the deep water. Half of my body plunged into the water. At that exact moment, the creature behind me hit its top speed, swinging its scythe down at me in the water. The scythe sliced through the air. I surfaced and saw the creature, sliced in half at the waist by the kite string. It twitched and shrieked, and I felt a surge of grim satisfaction. Holding the axe, I walked over and looked down at the xenospecies struggling in its death throes. Then, I expressionlessly raised the axe, and its blade smashed the monster's spine. The mutated body suddenly shot straight, and then lost all signs of life forever. 2 silver cards slowly rose up. I was just about to take a closer look at the patterns on them, when a strong sense of hunger suddenly surged within me again. On an impulse, I reached out my hand. The cards were instantly absorbed upon contact. You have obtained the card, Killer Bee. You have obtained the card, Mantis. After the Killer Bee marks any living entity with pheromones. It can be located and tracked. The tracking speed increases as the distance to the target shortens. It can increase up to 10 times faster. The Mantis allows for rapid changes in body shape, transforming limbs into sharp bone blades, enhancing both speed and explosive power. However, the cardholder is prone to losing their sanity and becoming more insect-like. Information about the 2 cards appeared in my mind. It was only then that I understood why the fire suppressant hadn't worked. It was because the xenospecies had marked me long ago. As long as the mark didn't disappear, the xenospecies could find me even with its eyes closed. Now that I have these 2 cards, does that mean I'll be able to use this ability in the future? Just as this thought emerged, the text in my mind suddenly changed. Killer Bee has been digested. Mantis has been digested. Card deck has gained 3 growth points. You now possess the ability to mark any living entity. The mark is effective for 12 hours. Please name your new skill. A new arm grows within your body, capable of rapidly transforming into a sharp bone blade. Please name your new skill. Why were the new cards digested? Why do the skills need to be named? No one mentioned any of this online. Please name your new skill. The skill can only be activated after it has been successfully named. The text in my mind reminded me again. I thought for a moment, a mischievous grin spreading across my face. Since they call me the mother of the world, let's call the new skill a mother's yearning. As for the bone blade, we'll call that a mother's discipline. New skills successfully named, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The sound of police sirens and the buzzing of drones came from the riverbank. I looked up and muttered, I guess I can collect my reward money now, huh? Afterwards, I was taken to the Qingyang City branch of the Xenospecies Security and Inspection Bureau. The 11th floor of the building had a full suite of medical facilities. I was placed in a special ward to receive treatment. A doctor stitched up my wounds, and a nurse hooked me up to a blood transfusion bag. A dedicated caregiver even brought me juice and snacks. I felt less like I was hospitalized, and more like I was staying in some high-end hotel. A man in a uniform entered the ward. He was about 30 years old, wore thin-rimmed glasses, and had a clean, refined appearance. He asked the doctor, "Is it serious?" The doctor's tone was tinged with excitement. If an ordinary person sustained these kinds of injuries, they'd need at least half a month to recover. But his cellular healing ability is incredibly strong. I estimate he'll be discharged in just a few days. The man smiled faintly. He looked at me and introduced himself. Hello, my name is Su Yuqing. I'm an inspector with the Xenospecies Security and Inspection Bureau, under the Ministry of State Security. I need you to cooperate with an investigation now. There's no need to be nervous. This is just standard procedure. I studied the man before me with some curiosity. There were quite a few discussion threads online about inspectors. It said that every inspector possesses extraordinary powers. Based on their different abilities, they are paired up to form inspection squads. They're responsible for clearing out the xenospecies in each region. This was the first time I had ever seen an inspector in real life. I wondered what his extraordinary power was. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Su Yuqing's voice became even gentler. If you're still not feeling well, I can come back tomorrow. But I do hope you'll cooperate with the investigation as soon as possible. We need to report this incident up the chain, and our colleagues in the press department are getting anxious. How can I cooperate? I'm just going to ask you a few simple questions. Just answer honestly. I nodded, indicating that he could begin. The medical staff happened to be finishing their work and left one by one, leaving just Su Yuqing and me in the room. Su Yuqing spoke first. We checked the surveillance footage from the subway station. The xenobeast's target was very specific. Do you have any idea why it attacked you? I suspected it was related to the card I'd gotten earlier, but I just replied. Maybe I just looked like an easy target. The xenobeast's primary cause of death was being sliced apart by a kite string. Was that kite string placed there intentionally? I nodded. I set it up, even though he had already guessed the answer. Su Yuqing was still a little surprised to hear me admit it myself. To be so bold, yet meticulous enough to set a trap and kill a xenobeast in such a critical situation. After the xenobeast died, did you see anything that looked like a card? That xenobeast should have had at least 2 cards inside it. But if I didn't tell the truth, it would be really difficult to explain where the cards went. Perhaps sensing my hesitation, Su Yuqing lowered his voice. His tone grew more sincere. You can trust me. Thought for a moment before answering, a killer B card. Su Yuqing got the answer he wanted and took a quiet breath. It's truly a miracle that you survived. The Supervisory Bureau would like to formally extend you an invitation. Are you willing to join? To become one of us, fighting alien creatures and maintaining world order. I raised my eyebrows in surprise. I thought there would be some kind of assessment or interview process. 2 cards is more than enough to pass the interview. Of course, once you join the Bureau, someone will arrange for your training and assessment. This is to help you improve your abilities, Su Yuqing said with a faint smile. Now, do you have any questions for me? I nodded and said, when can I get my reward money? Su Yuqing was stunned when he heard this. It took him a few seconds to process it. The reward money can be applied for at any time. Currently, the base reward for killing a xenobeast is 1 million. So, will there be an additional bounty? He asked after a moment of thought. What's your digital bank account number? I answered quickly. Su Yuqing took out his phone. I'll submit the application for you now. The money will be in your account within 3 to 7 business days. He looked at me with a faint smile in his eyes. I thought you'd ask some questions about the xenobeasts. I've looked into it online. You know, the xenobeast discussion boards, forums, and that site called the Xenobeast Forum. I said thoughtfully, there's an expert on the forum, who collects all the data on xenobeasts from across the web, organizes it, and posts it on the forum for everyone to look up. Including some of the Supervisory Bureau's internal information. Su Yuqing nodded in understanding. He knew of the forum. It had indeed gathered a large number of users interested in alien creatures. He was a regular on the forum himself. But I do have a question that no one on the forum could answer. Do you guys have a way to tell the difference between xenobeasts and normal humans? Su Yuqing's expression tensed up slightly. Unfortunately, we can't. Then can the xenobeasts distinguish between ordinary humans and humans who possess cards? Su Yuqing's tone grew heavy. To this day, we still don't know how the xenobeasts, how do they take over human bodies? The research team once tried to develop a detection device. Unfortunately, there has been no progress so far. Currently, aside from a very small number of inspectors with detection abilities, we have no other effective way to distinguish between humans and the others. But the others can easily find humans holding cards in a crowd. However, in most cases, the others won't choose to confront inspectors directly. After all, they need to live in society as humans. It would be very troublesome if their identities were exposed. Unless the card an inspector carries is extremely tempting, making them willing to risk everything to snatch it. I thought about this and remained silent. I needed to weigh the pros and cons of joining the inspection bureau. Su Yuqing looked at me seriously. As long as you're a human who holds a card, you'll face danger whether you join the inspection bureau or not. I hope you'll consider this carefully. After some thought, I finally made up my mind. I don't like being a target. A hint of confusion appeared in Su Yuqing's eyes. You don't have to decide so quickly. You can think about it some more. It's getting late. I'll come to see you again tomorrow. Su Yuqing left the hospital room. He still had several meetings to attend today. On his way to the elevators, he encountered a nurse and an unfamiliar woman. The nurse spoke up, "Captain Su. Lin Feng's mother is here to see him." Just then, a cell phone rang. Su Yuqing answered the call and gave the woman a slight nod. The call was from a colleague in the HR department. "Captain Su, are you finished with your talk over there?" Su Yuqing walked into the elevator and said, "He's on the younger side. He's very guarded. He probably doesn't trust us enough. He rejected the inspection bureau's recruitment offer." He rejected it? The person from HR sounded anxious. How could he refuse? "Captain Su, how about we send someone else to persuade him? Or maybe talk to his parents? You and Brother Joe are the only inspectors left in our city, and the number of these creatures is growing. If we don't recruit new members soon, it's going to be a huge problem." Playing the family card was indeed an option. Su Yuqing thought of the unfamiliar woman he had just met and had a vague feeling that something was wrong. He pulled up my personal file on his phone, and his face instantly turned pale. Su Yuqing frantically jabbed the elevator's open door button. He has no parents. The elevator stopped on the 10th floor. Su Yuqing didn't have time to wait for it to go up. He ran straight up the stairwell. A loud crash came from the 11th floor, immediately followed by a nurse's scream. An alarm blared throughout the entire building. Su Yuqing was frantic. Just as he reached the 11th floor, he saw that woman from before standing at the door of my room. A dark red slime covered the floor at her feet. Countless thin, blood-red tentacles extended from this pool of slime, wrapping themselves around my body. The sight made Su Yuqing's skin crawl. He drew his service pistol and fired. Even if he couldn't kill it, he had to at least stall until the guards arrived. Bang, bang, the woman was hit twice. She immediately manipulated the tentacles to drag me in front of her as a shield, and sent some of them lunging toward Su Yuqing, along with the bloody mire at her feet, which also spread rapidly towards Su Yuqing's position. Su Yuqing quickly retreated. He looked up at me again. More than half of my body was enveloped by the tentacles, and they were sucking my blood. From the severe blood loss, my eyes were shut tight. My face was almost completely drained of color. Despair washed over Su Yuqing. It's over. He can't save me. Just then, a large group of guards finally arrived. Countless guns were aimed at the woman, firing fiercely. The sound of gunfire in the hallway was deafening. The woman quickly retreated into the hospital room. She lifted me up to block the doorway, pulling the same trick again. Using me as a shield, the gunfire came to an abrupt halt. Inside the room, the woman looked agitated, wanting to finish me off as quickly as possible and get out of there. Unfortunately for her, her ability couldn't kill me instantly. It could only weaken her opponent by draining their blood. But judging by the time, this hidden boss should be on his last breath. She looked at me and froze. At some point, I had opened my eyes and was now staring at her grimly. The woman's heart skipped a beat. How is he not dead yet? She felt a flicker of unease, but then she saw that on my bound arms, a third arm had sprouted. The long, slender arm was covered in scales that formed a bone blade. Then, like the Grim Reaper's scythe, it slashed at her. The excruciating pain of her body being torn made the woman scream out. A third of her body was sliced off, and I was able to break free. Controlling the newly grown bone blade arm, I prepared to strike again. But before I could act, what was left of the woman's body suddenly dissolved. It melted into the crimson slime at her feet, which then quickly moved out the door. Gunshots rang out from outside the door again, and the thick stench of blood filled the entire floor. I waited for the gunpowder smoke to clear before stepping out of the room. Su Yuqing was crouched down, examining the floor. He then stood up and shook his head at me. She got away. Clutching my wounds, I leaned against the doorframe, my lips curling into a slight smile. It was a mocking smile, and my eyes were filled with a gloomy, chilling coldness. The fact that I was attacked right inside the inspection bureau was like a harsh slap across Su Yuqing's face. If he can't even guarantee my safety, what right does he have to ask me to join the inspection bureau? Su Yuqing asked worriedly from the side, "How are you doing?" "The test results aren't back yet, but based on past experience. This is likely a paralytic neurotoxin," the doctor said hesitantly. "Maybe because the exposure was brief, it didn't cause significant harm to your system." I listened to them in silence. I had originally thought that card with the garbled text only made me physically stronger. But now, it seems that not only have my resistance and healing abilities been enhanced, my body also seems to be immune to certain toxins. If it weren't for this characteristic of my ability, I would have been sucked dry and killed. Su Yuqing has no idea I still have a hidden card to play. Hearing the doctor's words, he was both shocked and terrified. The enemy's ability allowed her to easily evade capture, which is why she dared to attack the inspection bureau so brazenly. He looked at me, his voice full of apology. "I've already strengthened the security on this floor, but I suspect the information that you only have 2 cards has been leaked. The aberrants will probably come back for you." From the blood loss, my whole body felt cold, and my mind was groggy. I needed to rest and get back to my full strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, as a target, how could I possibly fend off the next wave of attacks? The nurse beside me hung up the blood bag and muttered under her breath, "If only Sister Yi was here." The atmosphere in the room instantly grew tense. Everyone fell silent at the same time. I thought it was strange. "Who is Sister Yi?" Before I could even ask, Su Yuqing explained. Later, due to his excellent performance, he was transferred to the inspectorate's branch in Yunhai City. Just because Yunhai City is an economic and financial hub, our Qingjiang City is just an insignificant second-tier town. The nurse couldn't help but complain, any inspector who's even slightly competent gets transferred away. The doctor coughed lightly, and the nurse pressed her lips together, saying no more. Su Yuqing gave a bitter smile. It can't be helped. The Xenospecies Safety Inspectorate has only been established for less than half a year. Recruiting and training members takes time, and the number of xenospecies is growing, so limited manpower must be prioritized. To ensure the safety of a few key cities. He didn't really want to talk about this. He sighed silently, then stood up and said to me, "Get some rest. We'll investigate the xenospecies that attacked you as soon as possible. I'll notify you when we have any results." I nodded. As I watched him and the medical staff leave the room, I closed my eyes, exhausted. I wondered if I'd gotten some incredible card. Otherwise, why would xenospecies keep showing up one after another? Willing to expose their identities just to kill me? The card's name is garbled. Can't figure it out from the name. The abilities I can sense so far are enhanced physical strength, strong regenerative abilities, plus viral immunity. Compared to superpowers like invisibility, spitting venom, or wildly attacking people with blades. Is there anything else special about this card? I just don't get it. If I hadn't assimilated the killer bee and the mantis, I'd probably be dead by now. I slowly opened my eyes. Just now, I didn't just use the mantis's ability. I also used the killer bee's mark, a mother's yearning, on that woman. I murmured the new skill's name with amusement. Activate mark. A red mist appeared before my eyes, turning from faint to dense. It was thin and winding, stretching out of the hospital room door, like a ribbon revealing the marked person's path. The corners of my mouth curled up. "I see you." I sat quietly leaning against the bed. As I actually used the mark, I found that the killer bee's ability had changed after being assimilated. For example, my body didn't need to move now, but my vision could follow that ribbon of mist out of the room, through the hallway and the break room, and onto the street outside. Everything was colored in dull, faded tones. Only the red mist before me was rich and eye-catching, continuously drawing me forward. I followed the mist to a neighborhood of townhouses, and entered one of them. In the living room on the first floor, the woman's upper body crawled out of a pool of blood, because her gunshot wounds were too severe. As she reformed her body, fist-sized holes kept appearing on her. Her expression was one of extreme agony. Her blood-red lips opened and closed. Although I couldn't hear her, I could guess what she was probably cursing about. She struggled in the pool of blood for a long time before her body's regeneration was finally complete. The woman climbed all the way out of the pool of blood, her skin smooth and rosy, with no trace of any wounds. Watching the whole process, I couldn't help but marvel. This xeno-species really has what it takes to storm the inspectorate all by herself. Just based on this bloodworm's regenerative ability, unless you blasted it to bits with a rocket launcher. How are you supposed to kill this thing? I began to wonder. After the woman finished regenerating, she picked up a blanket from the sofa and wrapped it around herself. Then she lay down to rest. I withdrew my vision. The faint red mist was still there. The mark is effective for 12 hours. As long as it's within that time frame, I can track the woman's location again whenever I want. I heard footsteps outside the hospital room. A nurse came in to change my IV with a new bag of blood. The nurse's eyes were red. She probably just got chewed out. But she was still very professional with me. You've lost a lot of blood. Once this bag is finished, you'll need 2 more. I asked how much my medical bills would be. The nurse paused for a moment. I'm not too sure about that. We only treat internal personnel from the inspection bureau. The nurse thought I was worried about the high cost and tried to comfort me. Don't worry, it doesn't matter if you're an inspector or not. The inspection bureau will cover your medical expenses until you've recovered. Your treatment won't be delayed. I glanced at the newly replaced blood bag. How is blood plasma stored? The nurse answered hesitantly. It's kept in a special blood bank refrigerator at around 4 degrees Celsius. Is there a problem? I smiled. Nothing. Just asking. The nurse seemed a bit puzzled but didn't press the issue. She left the room looking confused. I closed my eyes to rest. I could feel myself recovering as the lost blood was replenished. My body was recovering quickly. Maybe in another 2 hours, I'd be fully recovered. Blood plasma needs to be stored at around 4 degrees Celsius. It can't be too cold or too hot. Those bloodworms are probably the same. Too cold and they'll freeze. Too hot and they'll get cooked. I muttered to myself in the hospital room. I drove a rented van to a somewhat desolate residential area with villas. I had originally prepared a lot of good stuff: gasoline, alcohol, charcoal, flour. I even got some old cotton mattresses from a scrapyard. The target's ability is basically to first use insects to paralyze their target, and then suck their blood. I'm immune to the paralyzing toxin, and I can interrupt the blood-sucking attack with my bone blade. The problem is how to stop that woman from escaping. My plan was to seal all the villa's doors and windows with fire. But I used my tracking ability to check, and now there are 3 accomplices in the villa besides the woman. 4 aberrations is too big a variable, especially since I know nothing about the other 3's abilities. I sat in the car, my expression grim. I almost died when I was ambushed today. And now that I've tracked them to their lair, I can't even get my revenge. I got out of the car with a dark look on my face. I walked through the wide open iron gate. At least I should get a clear sense of their strength first. 2 rows of pitch-black townhouses stood ahead. Not far away was a construction site, piled with cement bags and messy building materials. After Xinjiang City was designated a high-risk area, many construction sites were shut down, leaving behind many unfinished projects. These aberrations sure know how to pick a spot. The villa they were in was the only finished model home. The plants in the yard were growing wild and untrimmed. The lush branches and leaves blocked the light from the first floor. I slipped over the wall into the backyard in the dark. Through the floor-to-ceiling glass window, I saw the scene inside the villa. Besides the woman who ambushed me, there was a fat man, a thin man, and a little girl wearing a skull mask. The little girl was about 12 or 13 years old, curled up on the floor and covered in bruises. The woman, wrapped in a blanket on the sofa, spoke up. "You've got the wrong person. I've been questioning him for ages and got no leads. You're disturbing my rest." "No way we got the wrong person," the heavy-set man said irritably. He posted anonymously on the forum looking for a team to enter the labyrinth. We spent half a month coaxing him to meet up. It has to be him. Then why doesn't he know where the labyrinth entrance is? The woman asked if she knew. The fat man continued to roar. "She's just one of those who won't give up until she's at death's door. Too stubborn to talk. All right, stop shouting." The tall, thin man frowned and looked at the woman. "What's with you today? Where were you all day?" The woman gathered the blanket around her and said nonchalantly, "I went to the supervisory bureau. Didn't the news today say a mutant was killed in Tianshui Park? The card must have been collected by the bureau. I just wanted to see if I could pick up any scraps." The fat man leaned in to ask. The woman lowered her eyelids to hide her emotions. "The guards arrived too quickly. They spotted me before I could even make a move. The fat man immediately scoffed in contempt, and the tall, thin man also looked disappointed. Try not to act on your own for now, unless you have intel on a hidden boss. Otherwise, we'll keep focusing on finding the labyrinth. Got it, the woman replied lazily. The fat man grumbled beside her. There's no point in going against the supervisory bureau. Killing them barely earns any points. It's a waste of time. If we could find a hidden boss, even if it's just a juvenile, we'd get at least 3,000 points. We don't have any scouting skills. Finding a hidden boss is just a matter of luck. Thin man sighed and stood up. I'm heading out for a bit. I'll get this week's basic missions done. You two keep an eye on her. Make sure you pry the clue out of her. In the courtyard, I crouched down a little lower. I heard the main door open and the footsteps gradually fade away. One of them is gone. My mind started racing. There were 3 mutants in the house. The little girl clearly had no combat ability, and the woman's powers posed no threat to me. All that was left was the fat man, whose abilities were questionable. I slightly narrowed my eyes, focusing more of my attention on that fat man. The fat man grabbed the little girl by the back of her collar and asked irritably, "Don't think I can't do anything to you just because you won't talk. You definitely know the clue to the labyrinth. Otherwise, you wouldn't have posted on the forum looking for a team." The little girl had been hit before. Her voice was extremely weak. I really don't know. Please, let me go." The woman, wrapped in her blanket, let out a yawn. "We've been asking for so long and got no clues. Just kill her and be done with it. I don't need you to tell me what to do." The fat man roared. He turned, lifted the little girl, and slammed her hard onto the ground. The little girl cried out in pain. Her whole body curled up as tears streamed from the eye sockets of her skull mask. She looked both pathetic and ridiculous. "Don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I don't have enough points to create a new account. Please," she begged pitifully. The fat man stomped heavily toward the little girl. "I hate running into noobs in games. If you don't know how to play, just log off. Don't get in our way of clearing the labyrinth." He grabbed the girl's slender forearm and roared, "Where the hell is the entrance to the labyrinth?" The little girl suddenly let out a piercing scream. Her mouth and nose, visible beneath the mask, and the lower part of her face instantly paled, as if she were in excruciating pain. Hiding in the courtyard, I couldn't help but creep a little closer, wanting to see clearly. I didn't understand why the fat man, just by holding the girl's arm, could cause her so much pain. A few seconds later, I finally understood. Searing white smoke started rising from that pale little forearm in the fat man's hand. The little girl then fell to the ground, rolling and screaming endlessly. She had lost half her arm. I watched with a dark gaze. It seems the fat man's palms can secrete a highly corrosive acid. It can even dissolve bone with ease. My bone blade probably can't withstand that level of corrosion. However, he doesn't seem to be an agile type of aberration. So, my chances of winning are still very high. Holding my breath and hiding my presence, I circled to the side of the villa and climbed over the wall. Then I slowly drove the small truck to the villa's entrance. I don't know if it was because the villa's soundproofing was too good, or if the little girl's screams inside drowned everything out. I climbed over the wall several times, and the aberration didn't notice a thing. I piled cotton mattresses, coal, and flour at the front and back doors of the villa. Doused them with gasoline, then picked up the half bucket of gasoline I had purposely saved. I returned to the French windows to observe the reactions of the 2 aberrations inside. The strong smell of gasoline quickly caught the woman's attention. She stood up, frowning. She sniffed the air around her. The fat man, however, was still engrossed in his interrogation. He pinched the little girl's jaw and said fiercely, "Are you going to talk or not? If you don't, I don't see any reason for you to keep that mouth of yours." The woman frowned and interrupted the fat man. "Do you smell something?" The fat man said irritably. "Don't bother me." The woman, looking displeased, walked to the French windows. She slid the glass door open. From the shadows, I saw my chance. I threw the gasoline can, and immediately, a third scythe-like bone blade extended from my shoulder. It sliced open the can like lightning. The woman's pupils contracted. Before she could even cry out, she was drenched by the gasoline in midair. Immense fear showed in her eyes as she instantly transformed into a viscous, bright red pool of blood. It moved rapidly towards the outside of the villa. I already had a lighter ready, took aim, and threw it. Whoosh! The bloodworms were immediately engulfed in a sea of flames. The flames spread rapidly, and thick smoke billowed into the air. fat man lunged at me excitedly. His size was truly astounding. Charging at me, he looked like a mountain, but just as I predicted, he wasn't very agile. I easily dodged his lunge and brought my scythe-like bone blade down in a sweeping motion. At the same time, I spared a glance for the woman in the flames. She was struggling in the raging fire. She screamed hysterically and then collapsed. The bloodworms splattered against the villa walls like bursting pulp. They left behind speckled bloodstains. The flames and thick smoke obscured my vision. I could only guess whether the woman was dead or alive. Meanwhile, I kept dodging the fat man's reckless attacks, retreating until I was near the fire. My bone blade began to attack without holding back, sweeping across the fat man's neck. The sharp edge cut through skin and flesh, and translucent fat gushed out. I frowned instantly. I had intended to cut his head off, but it was clear the layer of fat had limited the depth of my cut. Just as I was about to strike again, I saw the fat man's cheeks puff up. They got so big his neck disappeared, and his head seemed to connect directly to his shoulders. At the same time, his mouth grew to an incredible size. This big-headed monster stood before me with its gaping, bloody maw. It let out a horrifying laugh. I knew this wasn't good. I turned and ran, but I'd only taken 2 steps. When a force grabbed my calf, I twisted my head to look. The monster had shot a tongue over 10 meters long from its mouth, and it was stuck to my leg. I acted decisively, hacking at the tongue. The long tongue was instantly severed by my bone blade, but the monster felt no pain and shot out a second tongue. The tongue was lightning fast, sticking to my wrist and pulling me towards its gaping maw. I barely had time to react before my bone blade swept out and severed the long tongue. I immediately dropped low and circled behind the monster, which froze in place. Its small eyes darted left and right, unable to find me. I drew in a sharp breath. My gaze shifted down, locking onto its thick, short ankles as my bone blade swept across the ground. It struck its ankle, and the big-headed monster's massive body lost its balance. Just as I was about to press my advantage, the pustules on its back began to shake violently. Several streams of thick acid shot out towards me, and I dodged to the side. The acid still grazed my right arm, and a sharp pain shot through it instantly. Now unable to walk, the big-headed monster crawled on the ground, continuously shooting its tongue out. Acid sprayed everywhere like a fountain, so I moved behind the large fire. I kicked a burning ember at it, and it let out a howl. But its body showed no burns. Instead, the acid extinguished the ember. I tore down the burning curtain, threw it over its head, and viciously stabbed at its head and limbs through the fabric. After more than 20 stabs, the monster finally went still. I couldn't let my guard down, so I scanned the inside of the villa. Our eyes met, and she instantly flinched and froze. The bone blade on my shoulder slowly rose. No matter how pitiful she looked, she was still an alien that had taken over a human body. Besides, Fatty had called me a hidden boss multiple times. I couldn't let her reveal my identity. Just as I was about to strike, the little girl suddenly spoke in a trembling voice. Alarm bells went off in my head, and I quickly swung my bone blade behind me. One nearly transparent tentacle was severed, but another 5 had already pierced through my abdomen and left leg. I spat out blood, but felt a surge of excitement. I glared menacingly at the tall, thin man on the courtyard wall. He had actually come back. I gripped the transparent tentacles with both hands and yanked. The man's eyes filled with horror. He turned and jumped over the wall to escape, retracting all the tentacles at once. Gritted my teeth and gave chase, following him as he jumped into an empty villa across the way. This villa hadn't been renovated yet. In the backyard was a swimming pool, half filled with rainwater. I was sure he was hiding in the water. My gaze fell upon some nearby cement and sand. I rushed over, grabbed several bags of cement and sand, and hurled them into the pool. My bone blade swept through the air, slicing the bags open. The murky water grew even thicker. The alien in the water couldn't take it anymore. Its transparent tentacles shot out like arrows. I was prepared and leapt behind a tree for cover. Steam and bubbles rose from the surface of the water. One of the bags must have been quicklime. A moment later, a semi-transparent humanoid creature crawled painfully onto the bank. With a diagonal slash of my bone blade, I instantly lopped off its head. Its body melted away like water. A silver card floated up. I reached out and touched it. Information appeared in my mind. You have obtained the ghost jellyfish card. Your body will turn transparent when in contact with a large amount of water, and you will gain 6 tentacles with stinging cells. The tentacles have an average length of 10 meters and possess excellent piercing power and stealth. Sense of satisfaction washed over me. 3 aliens taken care of. Clutching my wounds, I headed for the small truck. There was a first aid kit inside. The little girl was squatting by the truck's wheel, looking miserable in her skull mask. I scowled and snapped, I don't feel like killing her right now. But I would never let her get close. The little girl, however, didn't leave. She just stood by the side of the road, trembling. I took out some disinfectant and poured it directly on the wound. The searing pain made my muscles clench. Just then, a message appeared in my mind. Ghost jellyfish has been digested. Your deck has grown. Skill. Mother's whip has been upgraded. You now possess 2 arms within your body. They can quickly transform into sharp bone blades. High-speed movement and transparency abilities have also been added. The little girl spoke softly. Have you considered working with me? I looked up at her, my gaze cold as ice. You're a variant, I can help you. The little girl summoned her courage. You're a hidden boss. Players will come to hunt you down. I'm a player. I can tip you off and spread false information for you. Only we can see the player forums. They have a lot of information on bosses, and there are also recovery potions in the shop. They take effect in just 5 seconds. I can make a demon's contract with you. It's more binding than any legal document. A flash of light appeared, and a prompt box materialized before my eyes. An injured demon has sent you a contract invitation. As long as you provide her with protection, she is willing to pay you 50 milliliters of recovery potion each day as a reward. Once the contract is made, neither party can break it. I bandaged my wound and said flatly, I'm not interested in protecting a variant. The little girl's face went pale, and she pleaded, then, can you just let me stay with you? You don't have to protect me. Just let me follow you, that's all. I finished wrapping the bandage, raising an eyebrow. You're pretty clever, aren't you? You'll do it? Joy sparked in her eyes. Let's not rush into the contract. I have a few questions for you first. You saw the card in the villa, didn't you? The little girl quickly shook her head. I stared right at her. You could have taken the card to become stronger. Ambush me while I'm injured, and the card and the points would have all been yours. So why didn't you? Were you too scared? Her body trembled as she quietly explained. After a moment of silence, I said, get in. She scrambled into the back of the truck. I knocked on the side. The small truck drove out of the villa complex. At the guardhouse, I called the special hotline for variants to file a report. I told them about the fire at the villa. Back in the truck, I leaned against the seat to rest. I watched the little girl in the passenger seat inject herself with the potion and eat something that looked like jelly. Color slowly returned to her pale face. What's your name? She took off her skull mask, revealing a small, fair face. My name is Wangfu Miao Miao. The corners of my lips curved up. That sounds like a human name. After we log in, the system automatically translates our language and names into human ones, Wangfu Miao Miao explained nervously. Tell me about your card. What kind of card is Demon? Demon is a high-tier card. Its innate skill is Demon's Contract. It also gives me night vision and the ability to sense malice. I haven't digested any cards, so I don't have any other skills. I asked again, why did that group of variants capture you? I posted on the forums looking for a team to enter a labyrinth. When we met, I sensed their malice. I tried to run, but they caught me. The maze is a game instance where you get double points for killing monsters inside. I'm interested. Do you know the location of the maze? Besides the idol, are there other ways to lower my contamination value? I really don't know the maze's location. I only have a small clue. She quickly shook her head. Then she asked nervously, is your contamination value high? Over 20, and there's a risk of losing control. At 30, it's hard to maintain your sanity. At 50, you're basically a lunatic. Above 60, you'll most likely die on the spot. I asked unhurriedly. She replied weakly, to lower the contamination value, you just have to choose very carefully. You absorb a secondary card that's compatible with the main card's traits. The lower the compatibility, the higher the contamination value. If you choose wrong, the idol is your only salvation. I gave a self-deprecating laugh. My main card is garbled code. I have no idea what its traits are. Open up your forum. Gather all the information on bosses and card traits. This information is very messy. It will take a long time to collect. Wang Fu Miao Miao stammered. I glanced at the night outside the car window. We have all the time in the world. The Supervisory Bureau building was still brightly lit. Su Yuqing looked at the surveillance on the screen with a grim expression. He found out the aberration that attacked me is named Ji Maxin, and also discovered 3 other aberration suspects. His request for reinforcements from his superiors was rejected. Captain, has Qingjiang City been abandoned? The assistant asked in a low voice. We have the firepower and the personnel. As long as the plan is solid, we can eliminate the aberrations. Su Yuqing said gravely, call Zhou Diao and tell him to come over. I already did. His phone is off. Su Yuqing dialed Zhou Diao's private number. An irritable roar came from the other end of the line. Su Yuqing, I just got 2 hours of sleep before you woke me up. We need your support for an aberration found in the western suburbs Villa district. We've discovered 4 aberrations. The cursing on the other end of the line stopped abruptly. A moment later, Zhou Diao replied, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Just as he hung up, a panicked technician burst into the office. Captain Su, there's a suspicious person, Lu Wei, on the outskirts of the Villa district. Could it be a 5th aberration? On the computer screen, my small truck was parked at the entrance of the Villa district. I walked into the guardhouse. Su Yuqing frowned. He entered the Villa district 20 minutes ago. It looks like there's someone in the passenger seat. Call the 11th floor, check if Lin Feng is in his hospital room. After making the call, the assistant reported back with a strange expression. The nurse said Lin Feng checked out after receiving 2 bags of blood. He also borrowed 2,000 yuan from the nurse, and said he dropped his phone in the river. Su Yuqing was so exasperated he could barely breathe. Just as he was about to think, the operator ran in looking pale. Captain Su, a citizen has called in a report. He said he killed 3 aberrations in the western suburbs Villa district. His name is Lin Feng. He also asked if the aberrations being blown into a bloody pulp would affect his claim for the reward money. Su Yuqing strode out of the office and ordered, arrange for a vehicle. The special attack team and I are going to the scene. Tell Zhou Diao not to come. By the time Su Yuqing arrived, the fire department had already extinguished the blaze. The villa was burnt to a crisp. I was chatting with the fire chief. There were only aberrations inside when I set the fire. Getting rid of a public menace doesn't get you a discount. You have to compensate for the full price of the villa. I'm not a sucker. The damages to the villa will be covered by the Supervisory Bureau, model. Su Yuqing walked over and said in a serious tone, Lin Feng, if you encounter a variant, you should call the police first. Not risk your life on your own. Fine, I'll call the police next time, I said, as Su Yuqing looked on helplessly. He turned and walked into the villa to investigate. I followed behind and asked, why didn't the variant at the door drop a card when it died? It probably went offline. When a variant goes offline, it abandons its body. It won't leave a card behind. Then I asked again, that woman with the bugs, she definitely yelled, offline. I didn't take the fatty's card. Will the bonus increase? The cards don't affect the bonus. Su Yuqing paused for a moment before speaking. Next week, we're implementing a contribution point system. You'll get contribution points for killing variants and turning in their cards. 1 point is equal to 1 million. I'll make a note of this card for you for now. We'll convert it into contribution points later. Su Yuqing called a team member over to use a card collector to retrieve the card from the body. I asked curiously, what is that thing? It's a newly developed card collector. This is the only one in all of Qingjiang City. He looked at me. Where are the other variants? There's one more in the villa across the street. I've already collected its card. You don't need to bring the device over there. Su Yuqing pursed his lips. It's not about having more cards. Combinations are more important than quantity. I yawned and turned to leave, looking for a place to sleep. He quickly called out to stop me. The variant that went offline might come after you for revenge. The inspectorate isn't safe anymore either. He took out a key and handed it to me. I have an empty apartment on Shuyuan Road. Go there and try not to go out for a while. I took the key and tossed it in my hand. After I drove off in my small truck, Su Yuqing began directing the cleanup operation at the scene. After checking the area, a team member reported, Captain, no suspicious individuals found. Just then, the roar of a motorcycle was heard, and Joe Run, wearing a punk leather jacket and reeking of alcohol, pulled up in front of them. You've been drinking again? Drunk driving is dangerous. Su Yuqing scolded him. I'm the god of Qingjiang City. What's wrong with having a few drinks? Zhou Run said nonchalantly, glancing around. The variants, they're all dead? Su Yuqing frowned. Why are you here? You told me to rest at home. But you said there were 4 variants, how could I not show up? Zhou Run crouched down and sniffed the tire tracks. One of them escaped in a vehicle. Those tire tracks belong to Lin Feng. He just killed 3 variants and left. I can smell a variant's recovery potion. There's no mistaking it, Zhou Run said gloatingly, harboring a variant. Don't tell me he's a variant himself, is he? It's unlikely that Lin Feng is a variant. The scent on the vehicle is probably just residual. He's in a very dangerous situation right now, Su Yuqing analyzed. Well, we'll find out if we go take a look, won't we? I gave him the key to the apartment on Shuyuan Road. Zhou Run got on his motorcycle. I'd like to see if he's really stronger than me. Zhou Run, don't do anything rash. We need to investigate this properly first. Su Yuqing shouted, trying to stop him. Qingjiang City is my turf. As long as I'm alive, he's a nobody. Leaving those harsh words behind, Zhou Run sped off on his motorcycle. The team members looked at each other in dismay. Captain Su, should we send someone to take a look? Su Yuqing mused as he watched the car's silhouette. Zhou Dong knows what he's doing. He also wants to see how this little test plays out. On the highway late at night, I was so hungry I felt faint. After searching along the streets, I finally found a vending machine and bought all the self-heating rice inside. I climbed into the truck bed holding it. Wangfu Miao was huddled in a corner. She was probably still uneasy about her decision. As I was heating up the rice, I suddenly asked her, "Do you know what this is?" Wangfu Miao was slightly taken aback. She hesitated for 2 seconds before answering, "Self-heating rice." "This is a weapon," I said, pointing at the meal box. The heating pack releases a huge amount of thermal energy in a very short time, causing the water to boil. If you were to flip this meal box onto my face right now, my eyes would be instantly scalded. I'd also choke on a small amount of boiling water. You could use that opportunity to escape the truck. Hearing the noise, I would instinctively chase after you. At that point, you could circle around to the front, get in the driver's seat, quickly reverse, and run me over, crushing me to death. You'd get the points and my card. By the way, can you drive? I can't drive, Wangfu Miao stammered. That's a real shame. I looked away. I'll teach you some other day. Driving is a very useful skill. Once the rice was heated, I started eating by myself. I ate 8 boxes before the hunger finally subsided. Maybe I need to gain it by eating. After thinking for a moment, I knocked on the wall of the cargo bed. Come home with me and help me move some things. Wangfu Miao peeked out from the cargo bed, the half of her face covered by a skull mask, looking utterly surprised. I got into the driver's seat. She quickly climbed into the passenger seat, buckled her seatbelt, and asked, "Will it be dangerous? What if the player who logged off finds back up and comes to your house for revenge? What then?" I asked, gripping the steering wheel. If she was going to find backup, why didn't she find backup to kill me at the inspectorate in the first place? Wangfu Miao was stunned. She went to the inspectorate to kill you? But that's not what she told me. She said she went to the inspectorate to pick up scraps. She didn't mention a single word about encountering a hidden boss. I see now. It all suddenly made sense to Wangfu Miao. I asked curiously, how many points am I worth? I'm not sure of the exact number, but for a boss-level character, it would be at least 3,000 points, I'd guess. So how many points do you usually get from doing missions? Last week, I was lucky enough to get a 10-point mission, Wangfu Miao said, looking content. We continued our idle chat, completely unaware that at the entrance of the Shuyuan mansion, Zhou Dong was squatting by his motorcycle, on the phone with Su Yuqing, his voice so furious he sounded like he could spit fire. It was the middle of the night when we arrived at the Shuyuan mansion. I went home first to pack some clothes and my documents. I emptied all the food out of the refrigerator. The apartment hadn't been lived in for a while and was covered in dust. I opened a window to air it out. I also found an unused tablet and had Wangfu Miao take the organized forum data and enter it into the notepad. Even though she was exhausted, she gritted her teeth and agreed, planning to pull an all-nighter to finish. After I'd eaten enough, brushed my teeth, and taken a shower, I walked over to Wangfu Miao and asked, "Are you finished?" "More or less." With dark circles under her eyes, Wangfu Miao said, "The information about the cards is too much and too disorganized. And it changes based on the main card's traits. I'm not sure if this information is completely accurate." She had already done her best to organize it. I quickly glanced at the tablet and said with a smile, "Unequal information can sometimes have deadly consequences. If you intentionally falsified this data and distorted the facts, mislead me into making the wrong call, I could end up getting killed because of it someday." I didn't. Wangfu Miao's eyes immediately widened, looking extremely wronged. I was just teasing. I smiled lightly. We humans have our own forums too. There's a lot of information about the cards on them. I can compare the two and see. If I find any contradictions between them, then that means you're not being honest. And I'll kill you. Of course, if you correct it right now, I can pretend like nothing happened. Wangfu Miao couldn't stand being wrongly accused. Even if there are contradictions, it must be the information on your forums that's wrong. I didn't make anything up. Is that so? Well, I'll take a look first. Go take a shower. Wangfu Miao went to the bathroom, fuming. While correcting typos and organizing the layout of the document, I browsed the Xenogenic forum. Suddenly, I saw a prominent post, looking for partners to take down Xenogenics. Card holders only. The poster's nickname was Super Strong. He said he discovered an underground tunnel with many injured Xenogenics hiding inside. He wants to team up to catch them all in one fell swoop and get the prize money. He also said his card is Golden Grass, which can heal and save people. I looked over Wangfu Miao's information, then looked up and asked her as she had just finished her shower. "The information you provided doesn't mention plant-type cards. Is that considered an error? Or a deliberate omission?" Wangfu Miao's eyes widened. "Plant-type? There's no such thing as a plant-type for cards. Then what am I to make of this? Someone claims their card is Golden Grass, with the ability for rapid healing," I said with a smile. Wangfu Miao shot up to her feet. "He's lying. Currently, only the human gene tree has been realized, but that kind of tree is used as a gravestone. It can't speak or think, it's just a tree with a human form, that's all. It's absolutely impossible for a card like that to exist in the game." I tilted my head and smiled at her. But what can I do? I have to believe one of my own kind. As I spoke, a nearly transparent, scythe-shaped bone blade materialized over my shoulder, hovering above her head. Wangfu Miao's face went pale as she shouted, "Every word I've said is true. I didn't lie. You can't kill me. I stayed up all night collecting information for you. Why don't you believe me? He's obviously the one who's lying." She burst into tears. I tilted my head to watch her, a small smile playing on my lips. Still so defiant, Wangfu Miao closed her eyes in utter despair. But after waiting for a long time, she felt no pain at all. Opening her eyes, she saw me casually browsing the forum as if nothing happened. "You're not killing me anymore? Why would I kill you? Just messing with you." I refreshed the page and received a friend request from Super Strong. After accepting, I said to her, "Injured Xenogenics can use potions or go offline to switch bodies. There's no need for them to gather in a tunnel in a group. This Super Strong is either hiding information, or he's deliberately luring humans over." "You mean this person called Super Strong is a player? He wants to steal cards." Wangfu Miao's eyes widened. "It's highly likely." Just then, I received a message from Chao Changchao. "What are your card's abilities? We're all about teamwork here. If your card's abilities aren't a good fit, we can't bring you along. Online at 5 in the morning, huh? You seem pretty eager." I smiled and replied, "What kind of abilities are you guys looking for? If it's not a fit, I won't bother you. Chao Changchao's team already has a healer and a main attacker. We need support personnel now." My card is a jellyfish. It can grow transparent tentacles. At that moment, Chao Changchao was looking at his phone, muttering, "A jellyfish? What kind of card is that?" But his companion beside him said with a trembling voice, "Brother Chao, it's waking up." From the depths of the cave, a pale human face slowly emerged, shouting hoarsely, "I need more cards." Chao Changchao suppressed his fear and said through gritted teeth, "I've already called for people. They're all humans with cards." He looked at the alien corpse by the rock wall, his eyes full of greed. "As long as we feed it, these corpses can be exchanged for tens of millions in prize money." Soon, I received a private message from Chao Changchao. I'll add you to the group chat. Pay attention to the group notifications. He actually agreed? Wang Fu Miao Miao was very surprised. I put down my tablet. You're coming with me. I have to go too? Wang Fu Miao Miao became anxious. I haven't slept all night. And I haven't eaten yet. Just suck on a few of those jelly packs. The jelly is that stuff you were sucking on in the car. Wang Fu froze for a moment, then it hit her. That's a nutrient pack. You need points to buy them. It costs 2 points for one small pack. 2 points? I laughed. So, how many points do you have left? Wang Fu Miao Miao pursed her lips. 16 points. I burst out laughing. 16 points, and you want to sign a contract with me? And give me 50 milliliters of recovery agent for free every day? You'd go bankrupt after just 2 days, wouldn't you? If we signed a contract, I would definitely do more missions to earn points. Wang Fu Miao Miao said defiantly. There are 2 packs of instant noodles in the kitchen, you can make them yourself. I'm heading out for a bit. I changed my clothes and walked toward the door. Wang Fu Miao Miao followed behind me, firing off questions. Where are you going? What are you going to do? When will you be back? Don't you need to rest? Aren't you tired? You ask too many questions. You can only ask. Seeing that I was about to leave, she finally got anxious. What if you run into other players out there? I closed the door and went to withdraw money first, then got a new phone and a secondary SIM card. I also bought clothes, shoes, socks, and a phone watch for Wang Fu Miao Miao. When I returned, she was already asleep on the sofa. Her small body was curled up, her severed arm exposed, looking particularly pitiful. I put the things down by the sofa, opened my phone, and joined Chao Changchao's group chat. There were 6 people in the group. Someone suggested taking action tonight. I glanced at the sleeping Wang Fu Miao Miao and replied, the timing is too tight. Let's do it at 7 tomorrow morning then, Chao Changchao replied. Then it's settled for 7 o'clock. You guys get to the Zhongkou City train station first. I'll send the detailed location at 6 tomorrow morning. Zhongkou City is only a 2-hour drive from Qingzhou. I checked the map but couldn't find any trace of an underground tunnel, so I bought emergency lights, ropes, an axe, and other tools online. Just then, I got a text on my phone. The $1 million prize had been deposited. I immediately confirmed the order. In the evening, Wang Fu Miao Miao woke up. Seeing the new item beside her, she asked curiously, is this for me? It's a phone watch I bought for you. The SIM card is already in, and I've set it to silent. To avoid making any noise in the tunnels, I dragged over 2 outdoor backpacks. Wang Fu Miao Miao opened one of the backpacks. Inside, there was food, water, and tools. Then, the backpack suddenly vanished. How did you do that? I asked curiously. Wang Fu Miao Miao explained, this is the player's backpack function. You start with 2 slots. I have 4 slots now. Each one can hold items under 10 kilograms. Wang Fu Miao Miao and I drove toward Zhongkou City. Along the way, I asked her several times if there were any aberrants. She shook her head each time. There are currently 97,681 players online. They're spread out across the world, with no more than 10 players in any given city. It's perfectly normal not to run into anyone, she said, looking at a virtual screen. You all are players. We are monsters. Now that's interesting. I tossed her a tablet. Jot this information down, too. We arrived at the Zhongkou City train station late at night. I flipped on the high beams. There was a van up ahead. Wang Fu Miao Miao's eyes widened in alarm as she recognized the vehicle. It's humans with cards, and they've completed at least 1 digestion. The people in the van quickly piled out. The man in the lead strode forward and yelled, "Who the hell do you think you're flashing with those lights?" I got out of the truck, holding an axe. He became even more agitated when he saw the weapon. You're actually carrying a weapon? Supervisory Bureau, conducting an investigation. Drop the weapon. I eyed him suspiciously. His hair was a mess. He was wearing a graffiti t-shirt and a studded leather jacket. He didn't look like an inspector at all. But as he got closer, he froze. What are you doing in Zhongkou City? The people behind him got out of the van as well. Their eyes were blazing as they stared at me. His gaze shifted to the passenger seat. If you're Lin Feng, then that thing in the car must be the aberrant that escaped, right? Wang Fu Miao Miao's face turned deathly pale. She cowered in the passenger seat, not daring to move. I glanced back at her, then said calmly. He laughed and raised his hands. I knew you two were in this together. In the next second, his hands swelled into 2 beastly claws. One of them shot straight toward Wangfu Miao. I instantly summoned a transparent bone blade and blocked the attack. "You're harboring an aberrant, and you still dare to fight back?" he roared, swinging a claw at me. I sidestepped the attack, but the claw tore through the metal siding of the truck. My face turned grim as I muttered under my breath. "What 1,000? He snarled, retracting his claw. "Harboring an aberrant and assaulting an inspector. That's enough to get you 10 years in prison." Another transparent bone blade extended from my shoulder as I slashed it toward his face. He hurriedly blocked it with his beast claw, which rang out with a sharp, metallic clang. I raised my axe. The color drained from his face. "Holy shit, you have 4 claws?" he yelled, scrambling backward and shouting at his men. "Are you all dead? Get over here and help." The team members looked at each other in confusion. Video call came in from Captain Su. In the video, Su Yuqing gave a direct order. "Give the phone to Lin Feng." "Old Su, you trust him but not me?" the man roared. I took the phone, my expression softening a little. "He damaged my car. It's a rental, and the deposit was 1,000. If it's damaged, I don't get the deposit back, and I have to pay for repairs." Su Yuqing asked the man. "Vice Captain Zhou, why did you damage her car?" "She's harboring an altered," Zhou Dong said with conviction. Su Yuqing then asked me, "Are you harboring an altered?" "I'm not harboring anyone. She's my pet." I beckoned to Wangfu Miao. She slowly got out of the car and stood beside me. I said to her, "Call me Dad." Wangfu Miao's eyes widened as she looked up. "Dad." I then pointed at Su Yuqing on the phone. "Call him Uncle." "Hello, Uncle." She nodded quickly. "See? This is my card ability," I said calmly. Zhou Dong was speechless. "You've got some nerve, spouting such nonsense. Can you even tell the difference between humans and altereds?" I patted Wangfu Miao's head. "She can. Can you tell the difference between regular humans and special humans who hold cards?" Zhou Dong's chest tightened, and he couldn't come up with a single rebuttal. I turned to Wangfu Miao and said, "See if there are any altereds among this group." Everyone tensed up instantly. Even Zhou Dong couldn't help but size up the team members behind him. Wangfu Miao quickly shook her head. Only then did everyone let out a sigh of relief. She pointed at the team members one by one, saying, "Ordinary citizen. He's an elite monster." Zhou Dong's frustration eased a little. "So that's how you altereds classify humans. You can tell I'm an elite. No wonder you're so scared." I asked Wangfu Miao, "How many reward points do you get for killing an elite monster?" Wangfu Miao answered, "The points fluctuate based on the difficulty of the kill. Usually, it's between 200 and 500 points." I nodded in satisfaction and looked at Zhou Dong. 3,000 points. Zhou Dong's eyes widened in shock. "Impossible." In the video, Su Yuqing raised his voice, "Don't forget your mission in Zhongkou City." Zhou Dong said angrily, "Old Su, don't make your favoritism so obvious. He hasn't even joined the inspection bureau yet, and you're already favoring the new guy over the old." Su Yuqing ignored him. "Lin Feng, what are you doing in Zhongkou City?" Someone on the Alien Star Forum was looking for help to kill an altered. "I came to check it out." I paused for a moment and added, "If there really is an altered, I'll call the authorities." At that moment, one of Zhou Dong's team members came over and whispered a few words in his ear. His brows furrowed. He glanced sideways at me and muttered, "How is it him?" He took out his phone, looked at it, and asked uncertainly, "Are you, Do Shaw, from the group chat?" I was slightly taken aback. "You're also in the super-duper strong group chat?" Zhou Dong lifted his chin proudly. "I'm very busy. What time do I have to join group chats? I'm taking the place of a group member to go check out the tunnel." Su Yuqing said over the phone. "Lin Feng, the trail for the altered we were tracking went cold in Zhongkou City. There's no inspection bureau branch here. Since you've run into Zhou Dong, look out for each other. His cards are very powerful." I thought in silence. I don't like being ordered around. And I don't want to get tangled up in complicated relationships. Su Yuqing spoke again. "According to regulations, anomalies must be reported for testing. But your situation is special, so I can temporarily hold back the report to avoid any misunderstandings." This was clearly a favor. "In that case, I'll try my best to cooperate with him." Zhou Run told Lin Feng the operation plan. "Notify me as soon as the suspect sends their location. I'll assist with reconnaissance remotely." Although Zhou Diao looked unhappy, he still agreed. After the video call ended, Zhou Diao put his beast away and went back to the van. Not mentioning the operation plan at all. Wang Fu Miao Miao and I also returned to the truck. But a team member named Qin Liang came over and said obsequiously, "Hey, can I add you as a friend? I'll add you to the dedicated operation group." I scanned the code and joined the group. There were a total of 6 people in the group. Su Yuqing was the group owner. Everyone was using their real name, so I changed my nickname too. Qin Liang quickly sent a map. "This is the suspect's general area. We haven't found the tunnel entrance yet." I opened the map. It was a floor plan of a shopping mall. Wang Fu Miao Miao was puzzled. Would there be a tunnel in a mall? Under normal circumstances, no. As for abnormal circumstances, who can say for sure? After being stopped and questioned by Zhou Run, they all voluntarily backed out and were replaced by his team members. Wang Fu Miao Miao looked on with envy. They all backed out. Maybe we should too. I gave her a smirk. She immediately shrank back. With guts like that, how did you manage to save up 16 points? Wang Fu Miao Miao defended herself in a small voice. Not all missions are dangerous. So what kind of missions do you usually do? They're mostly lifestyle related, like going from the east side of the city to the west, or climbing the tallest building. Learning to use vehicles, but sadly, the points aren't very high. Killing monsters gives the most points. I laughed. So killing monsters is just killing people, huh? Wang Fu Miao Miao quickly waved her hands in denial. No, we usually kill corrupted bodies. I remembered the contents of her file. Corrupted bodies are failures of gene fusion. Creatures that possess cards either evolve or become corrupted. They're bloodthirsty, brutal, and have no sanity, she added in a small voice. When it comes to clearing out corrupted bodies, we players are on the same side as humans. I noticed something was off about her tone. Wang Fu Miao Miao was staring blankly ahead. System notification. Corrupted body detected nearby. I immediately sat up straight. The mission prompt only gives a general area for you to explore. Are there any other hints? Wang Fu Miao Miao looked at her virtual screen and read aloud. In the depths of a pitch-black cave. The monster is famished. You will need excellent judgment and astonishing courage to meet it. Silence is the prelude to death. Light is the overture to victory. Overcome your fear, and you shall receive a handsome reward. Accept a rank subjugation mission? Her face turned pale. In a rank subjugation mission, that means there's a boss-level corrupted body. How strong is boss level? Wang Fu Miao Miao looked troubled. I've never encountered one before. In the game, killable targets are divided into minions, elites, and bosses. Lord Abyss. So the bosses are actually very strong. The weakest one has a high-tier card. They've completed at least 3 digestions. I mulled it over silently. My card is also high-tier, and has also completed 3 digestions. Maybe my strength is on par with a boss. It's no coincidence that you received this mission. Is this a mission only you can see, or can all players see it? It's a regional mission. All players within the area will receive it. Small smile crept onto my face. In other words, we have to face the contaminated body. And we might also be attacked by deviants. I pulled out my phone and sent a message to the group chat. Little Skull just received a mission alert. There's a Class A contaminated body nearby. I suspect it's related to the tunnel deviant that Super Chang mentioned. And we can't confirm the location of the contaminated body. The mission only gave a search area. I handed my phone to Wang Fu Miao Miao. Mark the area and send it to the group chat. She took the phone with a peculiar expression. She's probably unhappy that I called her Little Skull. The area covers the mall, the surrounding residential district, and the park. After I took a screenshot and sent it, Su Yuqing replied. I'll be in charge of evacuating the residents. You guys proceed as planned. At 6 in the morning, Super Chang posted the meeting point in the group chat. He told us to go to the shopping mall. But after we got there, we couldn't contact him at all. From the empty parking lot came a asterisk thump, thump, thump sound. Zhou Run keenly noticed the sound was coming from a roll-up door. He cautiously gestured to his team. Everyone retreated to the sides and raised their guns. Zhou Dong grabbed the handle of the roll-up door. After a countdown, he yanked it up. Behind the door was a vertical pit, 3 to 4 meters deep. The sound just now was them knocking. You're here, hurry and come down, a man at the bottom of the pit shouted hoarsely. Zhou Dong subtly gave his team a look. The team members quietly lowered their guns. The female team member, Xiao Li, deliberately raised her voice. Didn't you say there was a tunnel? Who made such a big pit? Joe Run added, playing along. Those two down there look suspicious. And I don't see any injured deviants. It could be a trap. The man at the bottom of the pit grew anxious. There are at least a dozen of them, all half dead. Come down quickly and kill them so we can split the prize money. Xiao Li said in a soft voice. Since we're already here, why don't we go down and take a look? Joe Run continued. How are we supposed to get down such a deep hole? Looking at you two, you probably can't even climb out yourselves. And you expect us to? There's another way out. It's faster to come down from here. I moved closer to the edge of the pit. Which one of you is Super Chang? The man held up his phone. I just posted a photo in the group chat. You'll know I'm telling the truth once you see it. Joe Dong was annoyed. You're only sending a message now? We called you earlier and you didn't pick up. The signal is bad down here. There was nothing I could do. I opened my phone. Sure enough, there was a photo in the group chat sent by Super Chang. The picture showed a strange figure lying on the ground. I couldn't tell if it was a deviant or a human. I was just about to show Wang Fu Miao Miao when I noticed she was trembling all over. What's wrong? Malice, she whispered, her voice trembling as she shrank back. A strong sense of malice was coming from the bottom of the pit. Just then, the man down there started to get impatient. You guys coming down or not? If we wait any longer, what'll we do if the Xeno recovers? My brother and I aren't strong enough, that's why we waited for you guys. Joe Run, knowing the act was over, shouted down into the pit. I'll go get a rope, we'll be right down. Beside me, Wang Fu Miao Miao looked at me with pleading eyes. But I didn't budge. I had to keep her right where I could see her. I was afraid she'd run off, but I was also counting on her abilities to help. We climbed down the rope into the deep pit and saw the two men's haggard, sallow faces. Their clothes were filthy and they had strange expressions. I gave Wang Fu Miao Miao a little squeeze. She shook her head, signaling that these two weren't Xenos. My name is Chao Chang Chao. You guys can just call me Brother Chao. The man forced a smile. Pointing to the young man beside him, he said, This is my brother, Fang Yi. Since there's just the two of you, we'll call you Little Chao and Little Yi. Brother Chao's expression stiffened. He turned and led the way. The Xeno is up ahead. Follow me. Joe Run sidled up to Fang Yi to pry for information. So what's the deal with this cave? How did you guys find it? Fang Yi flinched, shrinking back. We work at a car wash. We found this pit when we were getting a customer's car. We got curious and went over for a look, but the edge collapsed. We fell in and couldn't climb back out. So we started looking for another way out. Brother Chao cut in. He had no idea the cave went this deep. Luckily, we had a flashlight. While searching for an exit, we found a bunch of Xenos. So we posted online for help and guarded this spot while waiting for you. The story was full of holes. They fall into a pit, but instead of calling for help, they venture into a pitch-black cave? And they just happened to have a flashlight on them. Joe Run frowned and asked, Who closed the roller door outside? Probably the manager. He must have closed it so no one else would fall in. Brother Chao's answer was completely unconvincing. We walked on for a bit. I glanced at my phone, no signal. After another few dozen meters, we entered an oval-shaped cavern about the size of a basketball court. The rock walls were riddled with dark openings, like an insect hive. The Xenos are in here. Brother Chao pointed to one of the openings. There are a lot of them. Joe Run went forward to take a look. Beyond the opening was a smaller cave, about the size of a classroom. Inside, 4 or 5 figures with bizarre shapes were lying on the ground. They didn't even react when the light hit them. Brother Chao said smugly, See, I wasn't lying. Let's kill them, tie them up, and drag them back to the parking lot. We call the inspection bureau, collect the reward, and make an easy few tens of millions. Confused, I asked, why go through all that trouble? Wouldn't it be easier to just call the inspection bureau and have them come collect them? Brother Chao was at a loss for words. A single person can't kill this many. Anyone with half a brain would know something's fishy. We'll drag a few out first and collect the money. Then we come back in a few days for the rest. That way, even if the inspection bureau questions us, they won't get suspicious. I called Wang Fu Miao Miao over. You, take a look. She just peeked her head in for a second before yanking me backward. They're dead, all of them are dead. Joe Run frowned. They're still moving. How can they be dead? I don't know. Wang Fu Miao Miao was trembling. I can only sense living things. These are all corpses. It must be a contaminant. We have to get out of here. Brother Chow, sensing something was wrong, asked suspiciously, "What's a contaminant?" "Who the hell are you people?" Zhou Run ignored him. He grabbed an aberration and threw it out of the cave entrance. With a thud, the body landed heavily on the ground. Only then did everyone see clearly that it was indeed a corpse. Chow and Fang Yi were also stunned. They had never gotten close, only assuming those figures were alive. The team members immediately drew their guns and aimed at the writhing corpse. The corpse's chest bulged. A thick, fat white worm squeezed out of its mouth. Zhou Run's beast-like claws instantly pierced the corpse's skull. Then he violently ripped open the body. The corpse and the white worm instantly shriveled into a thin husk. Its insides have been eaten out by the worms. Brother Chow's face darkened. "You're from the Aberration Supervision Bureau?" Fang Yi, however, looked delighted. "You're from the Supervision Bureau? You idiot, they took care of the aberrations. So now we won't get our bounty." I looked at Wang Fu Miao Miao. "You try, too. See if you can earn some points." She summoned her courage and raised her hammer. She smashed a white worm to death and turned back to smile at me. I got 2 points. I sighed and shouted to Zhou Run. "Vice Captain Zhou, leave a few for the little skeleton. Let her earn some points." Zhou Run glanced back. People who cooperate with aberrations are all brainless. Sooner or later, you'll get burned. Zhou Run threw over 2 corpses. I played dumb. I'm not cooperating with them. We have a rearing relationship. Isn't that right? Wang Fu Miao Miao forced herself to say, "Yes, Daddy." Just then, Qin Liang suddenly shouted, "There are corpses in this cave, too. They're strangely shaped. I'll go take a look." Zhou Run walked over, but Qin Liang couldn't resist leaning in. "Something's not right. I think there's something under the corpse." Before he could finish, Qin Liang jumped back. An adult-sized, bluish-black crawler emerged from the cave entrance. It shattered his headlamp. Zhou Run smashed the crawler's head in the nick of time and roared. "Told you to follow my commands. Who told you to act on your own? They're all coming out." Qin Liang raised his gun and aimed at the entrance. 2 more crawlers slithered out. "Let's go." Zhou Run yelled. Everyone retreated back to the main cavern. The crawlers followed close behind, lunging for the light source. Zhou Run tore apart the ones that attacked. Hearing the sound of worms crawling from all the surrounding cave entrances, he immediately gave an order. "Incendiaries for illumination. Prepare to fire." Xiao Li and Cao Hongyi threw out incendiary grenades. The cavern was instantly as bright as day. Countless snail-like worm heads poked out from the cave entrances. Gunshots thundered as the worms were shot in the head one after another. Few thick ones that rushed over were also torn to shreds by Zhou Run. I casually killed a few myself. Watching the busy Zhou Run, I couldn't help but think that while he's not very likable, he sure works hard. After the gunshots stopped, the team members reloaded and remained on high alert. Zhou Run cursed. "This is so damn disgusting. Just how many of these worms are there?" I crouched down to examine a worm's corpse. Its front half is like. It has sharp teeth and a carapace. The back half is a flat abdomen. The white worms are the juvenile form. The bluish-black ones are the adults. We have to wipe them out while they're young. They'll be a real handful once they're fully grown. I saw the strange expression on Wang Fu Miao Miao's face. "What are you looking at me for? Is there something on my face?" "It's nothing." She quickly shook her head. "Vice Captain, what do we do now? Too many entrances, it's easy to get lost." Zhou Run took a black square box from his backpack. Good thing old Su prepared this cave detector in advance. Zhou Run fiddled with it for a moment. A ladybug-sized metal drone popped out, and after activating, it flew up to scan the cave. Qin Liang stared at the monitor, which showed a 3-dimensional map of the cave and a stream of data. I asked, "Can it detect temperature, humidity, and life forms? How much does this thing cost?" Zhou Run chuckled. "It's a non-sale item from the inspectorate. It doesn't have a price." I was a bit disappointed. I just saved up $1 million and was thinking of buying some nice gear. "Vice Captain, we've used over half our ammunition. Should we return to resupply?" Once the detector finishes mapping, you go back to the vehicle for supplies. And offload those 2 while you're at it. Zhou Run pointed to Chao Zhe and Fang Yi in the corner. But Chao Zhe spoke up in a sinister tone. "You won't be able to go back." Zhou Run ignored him and asked Fang Yi, "Is this friend of yours not right in the head?" Fang Yi hung his head, not daring to speak. Chao Zhe laughed again. You're no match for it. Zhou Run scoffed. Tell it to come out and have a go then. Chao Zhe said nothing, only tilting his head to look up at the cave ceiling. Zhou Run also looked up. The cave ceiling was dim and riddled with openings. The sound of scuttling grew closer and closer. Finally, a greenish human face emerged from the largest opening. But Chao Zhe ran toward it excitedly. I've brought the people you wanted. They all have cards. I'll bring you more people. With a plop, the human face fell down. In the instant that Chao Zhe froze, giant teeth descended from the opening and clamped down on his head. The team members opened fire immediately, but the bug monster was too fast. It retracted back into the opening with Chao Zhe in its jaws, and all the bullets hit Chao Zhe instead. His headless body fell to the ground. A lingering voice echoed through the cave. You killed my children. Zhou Run turned to Fang Yi. How can your buddy still talk when he's dead? Fang Yi seemed to be scared stiff, and Zhou Run grew even more irritable. He kicked him over. Fang Yi curled up in pain and cried out. It's that monster. It can speak using a person's voice. Lin Feng asked Wang Fu Miao Miao, who was beside him. Wang Fu Miao Miao's face was ashen. I don't know either. Although she was a player, she was inexperienced and knew very little about the contaminated. Read your area mission to me again. Wang Fu Miao Miao opened her virtual screen and haltingly read it out. Deep in the pitch-black cave, the monster is starving. You will need excellent judgment and incredible courage. Silence is the prelude to death. Light is the overture to victory. Overcome your fear, and you shall receive a generous reward. Do you accept the A-rank subjugation mission? Accept, Lin Feng said immediately. Wang Fu Miao Miao was momentarily stunned. Seeing her dumbfounded look, Lin Feng was tempted to kick her over, just like Zhou Run had. Wang Fu Miao Miao frantically pressed confirm and yelled, I accept the A-rank subjugation mission. The mission progress bar popped up, showing 0. Wang Fu Miao Miao's heart was in her throat. A-rank missions usually require a team of 5 to 6 people. The bodies in the cave are most likely players. Can she and Lin Feng really handle this? Lin Feng didn't notice her concern. Killing those bugs earlier was no fun at all. This big one should be a real blast. Out of my way. This is my stage now. All of you, stay back. I'm about to go all out. Just then, Zhou Run's shoulders and back began to rapidly expand. Coarse, silver-gray fur burst from his pores, and his pupils turned gold. Fangs grew in his mouth. 6 beast-like ears tore through his skin. He'd actually turned into a dog. Zhou Run grinned proudly. My card, Cerberus. Lin Feng was silent. The 2 dog heads on his back were listless, their eyes still closed, looking like some kind of underdeveloped werewolf. Lin Feng couldn't help but glance at Wang Fu Miao Miao, thinking to herself, even her demons are this pathetic. I guess it makes sense a hellhound would look like this. Wang Fu Miao Miao instantly read her look and said angrily, high-level cards have a lot of potential for growth. Caught in the crossfire, Lin Feng muttered, then how about you show me some of that potential? The sound of scuttling insects echoed again. The group immediately stopped talking and got into a combat stance. They expected the contaminated entity from above to appear, but instead, dark green crawlers swarmed in from all directions. Zhou Run was extremely annoyed. He'd much rather fight the contaminated entity by himself than have to clean up all these crawling bugs. Everyone, fall back to the tunnel. With a loud roar, Zhou Run charged into the swarm, tearing everything apart. His strength and speed had taken a quantum leap. In just a few seconds, he shredded 3 to 4 of the dark green crawlers. Lin Feng guarded the other side, covering the team's retreat. Her bone blade was long and agile, effortlessly slicing any lunging bug monster in 2. Qin Liang suddenly cried out. A bug monster, attracted by the light, was lunging toward the display screen, bearing its shiny black fangs. Qin Liang desperately turned back. He clutched the detector to his chest. The bug's fangs pierced through his backpack and stabbed into his back. But he kept a death grip on the detector with both hands, refusing to let go. Zhou Run rushed over, grabbed the bug monster, and swiftly tore it in 2. Clutching the detector, Qin Liang scrambled desperately toward the tunnel. You're surprisingly thoughtful, Lin Feng remarked, as Zhou Run stared coldly at the remaining bugs. On my stage, I don't allow anyone to get hurt in front of me. Lin Feng wanted to make fun of his cringy attitude, but his low tone sounded more like a personal vow, so she lost the urge. Soon, everyone had retreated safely into the tunnel and began heading back the way they came. The tunnel grew increasingly treacherous. Lin Feng remembered there was a protruding rock along the path, one that a team member had bumped his head on, but after walking for a long while, she still hadn't seen it. Just as she was feeling puzzled, Fang Yi, at the front of the group, let out a blood-curdling scream. Xiao Li's voice was frantic. "This isn't the right path. There's a pit up ahead." Fang Yi and Old Sao both fell in. "Help me!" Fang Yi screamed in terror. Lin Feng pushed her way to the front. At the end of the tunnel was a pit, 7 to 8 meters deep. Fang Yi had hit his head and was bleeding profusely. Sao Hongyi was on the ground clutching his leg. It looked like he'd broken it. Suddenly, Sao Hongyi raised his gun and fired at something behind Fang Yi. The bullet hit Brother Chao square in the forehead. Seeing that face again, Fang Yi was scared out of his mind. A monster wearing a human face was hiding in the darkness. The people above the pit had a limited view. They could only see Fang Yi screaming while Sao Hongyi fired his gun repeatedly. While the others hesitated about whether to go down, Lin Feng had already grabbed a flashlight and jumped in. The light swept over the behemoth. His heart pounded. He felt an excitement he hadn't felt in a long time. The moment he landed, he swung his bone blade, piercing its face and sinking into its carapace. But the monster quickly crawled out of the light's range, vanishing into the darkness. Lin Feng swept his flashlight all around. He only saw a few dark cave entrances. Just then, Zhou Diao and the others slid down on ropes. Last was Wangfu Miao, cautiously following behind them. "Why did you all come down too?" Lin Feng walked over to ask. Qin Liang held up a scanner. "I just checked with the scanner. We can find a way out from down here. We couldn't do anything if we stayed up there anyway." Zhou Diao frowned and asked Sao Hongyi, "How are you doing?" Sao Hongyi, sitting on the ground, shook his head. "It's probably fractured." Zhou Diao's brow furrowed even deeper. "There's no signal in the cave, we can't call for help. And we still have a long way to go. You guys go on without me. Don't worry about me," Sao Hongyi said, not wanting to slow down the team. "I'll find a small hole to hide in. The creature might not even find me." Zhou Diao snapped angrily, "You think hiding is going to solve anything? If we don't eliminate this contaminated, the worst case scenario is they call in heavy weapons to bomb this place. If you stay here, you'll be buried alive." Sao Hongyi hung his head, overwhelmed with guilt. Every member of the special ops team valued the mission more than their own life. Dragging the team down now made him feel worse than anyone. Zhou Diao understood how he felt. After shouting a few words, he fell silent. Xiao Li silently took out the first aid kit and started treating Sao Hongyi's leg injury. Lin Feng also felt disheartened. The terrain here gave the contaminated too much of an advantage. Even if it appeared again, he wasn't sure he could defeat it. Xiao Li spoke up. "Vice Captain, light is the key. Flashlights and headlamps are too bright. They create blind spots in the shadows. When we move, the halo effect also makes it hard to fight. And we don't have enough flares. Entering a large cavern requires at least 2 at a time. That means we have 2 chances to fight, at most. After those 2 times, we have to find an exit, or we'll be in for a brutal fight." Zhou Diao was agitated. "Of course I know all that. But that thing is too fast. Even if we catch up to it, we can't see it. Unless we can lure it into a lighted area. I know I could kill it then." Lin Feng fell deep into thought. Both times the contaminated appeared, it was after the swarm of insects had retreated. Its chances of winning would be much higher if it attacked during the chaos. Why would it act alone? Besides, the first time the swarm appeared, they all went straight for our lighting equipment. At first, I thought they were just drawn to light. But now that I think about it, they were deliberately destroying our lights. To put us at a disadvantage, it was because it got dark that we entered the wrong cave. Have these bugs become sentient or something? Qin Liang said in shock. They're a product of genetic fusion. It's not surprising they'd have intelligence. Wangfu Miao's mission hint said, "Silence is the prelude to death. Light is the overture to victory." The light part is easy to understand. But what does silence refer to? Does it kill with sound? Fang Yi suddenly spoke up, which surprised Lin Feng a little. He was surprised this quiet follower, who usually went unnoticed, could think of that. After speaking, Fang Yi looked embarrassed. He timidly shrank back. Lin Feng turned to the others and continued his analysis. Every sentence in the mission hint is useful. Silence is the prelude to death. That fits the Contaminated's attack pattern. Before every attack, the swarm either dies or retreats. The cave has gone quiet, making our voices stand out. It retreats back into its hole after every sneak attack. That means it knows it's no match for us when there's light. So, as long as we don't make a sound, it can't attack. The key is to protect our light source. With light, we have a fighting chance. As for the number of bugs, it can't be infinite. Otherwise, Zhongkou City would have had a wave of missing person cases by now. Fang Yi watched them discuss in silence. Qin Liang leaned in and whispered, "You've got a sharp mind." "I didn't even think of that just now." Zhou Run cut them off. "Bring up the terrain map from the scanner." Qin Liang opened the scanner and pulled up a three-dimensional terrain map. It was only then that everyone saw. The underground nest structure was simpler than they'd imagined. It was actually two man-made underground parking garages. There was a deep pit in the middle, with passages connecting the two sides. The insides of those holes are all interconnected. The only reason it seemed complex was because of the lack of light. As long as we get this map out, Captain Su can back us up from the outside. Zhou Run's confidence returned. "We came down from the left side parking garage. Captain Su will definitely be guarding the entrance. Both sides are important. We can't let a single bug escape. But who's going to deliver the message?" After weighing his options, Zhou Run looked at Lin Feng. "Can you get the data out?" Although Lin Feng wanted to go, he also knew that delivering the data was more important. Otherwise, the consequences of the bugs escaping to the surface would be unimaginable. He thought for a moment and asked, "Why do we need to rest for 10 minutes? Are you guys that tired?" Zhou Run roared, "Is it a crime for me to be tired? Using my card ability drains a lot of stamina. What do you know?" Only then did Lin Feng understand. He turned his head and asked Wang Fu Miao Miao, "That nutritional agent you were drinking, does it work on humans?" "It should, I think." Wang Fu Miao Miao hesitated for a moment. "Get him a pack." Lin Feng pointed at Zhou Run. Lin Feng tossed it over to Zhou Run. After a moment of hesitation, Zhou Run bit it open and drank. The fatigue faded quickly, but he couldn't help feeling wary of this alien stuff. Could there be side effects? "I've never had it, so I wouldn't know," Lin Feng said lightly, then turned to Wang Fu Miao Miao. "Get another recovery potion for Lao Sao. After redeeming that, I'll only have 2 points left." Wang Fu Miao Miao was on the verge of tears. "Have the supervisory bureau write you an IOU. There's a point reward for killing bugs. You'll make it back in no time," Lin Feng said. "Don't you go making decisions on your own. That pack of nutritional agent just now counts as one bug. You already drank it, so don't even think about backing out." Lin Feng just smiled nonchalantly. The polluted body might have hatched more bugs. Wang Fu Miao Miao was exasperated. She had no choice but to redeem a recovery potion and hand it to Cao Hongyi. Zhou Run said in a low voice, "I'll pay you back in the future, with interest." While Cao Hongyi was injecting the potion, Lin Feng closed his eyes and used Mother's Remembrance to try and track the polluted body. But the cave was too dark, and he had to give up after tracking it for over 10 meters. His mood sank. Fortunately, Cao Hongyi's leg injury healed for the most part, barely affecting his ability to walk. "Let's move according to plan." Qin Liang handed the data chip to Lin Feng, giving him careful instructions. "If you go out from here and turn left, you'll get back to the passage leading to the parking lot. I'll make some noise to attract the bugs and the contamination body to buy you time." "Got it." Lin Feng put away the chip. Zhou Diao then handed a short knife to Fang Yi. "You, stay with us. We'll do our best to protect you, but you have to defend yourself in a crisis." "I'll try not to be a burden." Fang Yi nervously took the short knife. Lin Feng and Wang Fu Miao Miao left first. Lin Feng walked very quickly. Wang Fu Miao Miao followed closely beside him. In the distance, the sound of Zhou Diao's deliberate tapping could be heard. Without any bugs to interfere, they quickly found the opening to the parking lot. Suddenly, a whooshing sound echoed, and Lin Feng sharply turned his head. He grabbed Wang Fu Miao Miao and threw her forward. In her original spot, a bug monster with a human face lunged at them. Wang Fu Miao Miao screamed in terror. Didn't Zhou Diao lure it away? Lin Feng's eyes turned cold as he crossed his bone blades to block the attack. The flashlight beam fell on the contamination body. Its torso was a mix of insectoid and human features. Its neck could stretch for several meters, and the pincers at the end clamped a human head, mimicking human speech. Lin Feng swung his blade at the human face, but the contamination body's neck retracted quickly, causing him to miss. The narrow passage restricted the swing of his bone blades, allowing only for forward thrusts. But the wounds from the thrusts barely harmed the contamination body. The end of the passage was near. If they retreated any further, they'd be in the large pit of the parking lot, putting them at an even greater disadvantage. Huangfu Miao started to panic. Without Lin Feng, she wouldn't be able to climb out. Just then, the contamination body's pincers opened again. The human face in its gullet squeezed out an eerie smile. Lin Feng suddenly realized something was wrong. Brother Chao's face should have had a gunshot wound. But this face was completely unscathed. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and changed his strategy. He stabbed between the pincers, but his bone blade was clamped down on tightly. The bone blade was pierced through. Lin Feng cried out in pain but refused to let go. Huangfu Miao raised her iron hammer to help, but Lin Feng shot her a fierce glare. Lin Feng then stabbed his other bone blade between the pincers. He was sacrificing one bone blade. Control the other one and saw at it forcefully. The contamination body shrieked, trying to escape, but its mouthparts were pinned shut, and its body thrashed wildly in the passage. The entire passage trembled, but Lin Feng refused to release his grip. He sawed through its mouthparts, neck, chest, and abdominal plate bit by bit. The contamination body finally went still. Exhausted, Lin Feng slumped to the ground and pulled out the pierced bone blade. It was covered in cracks and bloodstains, having long lost its former sharpness. "I don't have any points to exchange for medicine for you," Huangfu Miao said, her voice trembling with tears. "This isn't the same contamination body from before," Lin Feng said calmly, using the rock wall to help himself up. "I marked that one. This isn't it. Something must have happened to Zhou Diao's group. Then what do we do?" Huangfu Miao was at a complete loss. "Get out first, then we'll rescue them." Lin Feng turned and walked forward. "The chip had to be delivered first. What about your injury? If another contamination body shows up, you won't be able to hold on." Lin Feng suddenly stopped and turned back to stare at Huangfu Miao, the trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth giving him a cold, harsh look. Huangfu Miao's heart skipped a beat, and she instantly shut her mouth. She didn't know that Lin Feng was hungry again. The moment he had cut open the contamination body, an intense hunger had surged through him. It was just like when he first got the Killer Bee Mantis card. He couldn't possibly eat the contamination body's corpse. My eyes subconsciously fell on Huangfu Miao as a thought crossed my mind. Is this also an effect of the card, or is it because her injuries were so severe that she used up all her energy? The area ahead suddenly lit up, the light was blinding. Lin Feng squinted. He heard a jumble of voices from above, along with an evacuation announcement from a loudspeaker. Lin Feng looked up, saw Su Yuqing standing at the opening, and immediately took out the chip and tossed it up. "There's a parking lot a few hundred meters away. The underground nest is connected to 2 parking lots. The chip has a map. Zhou Run wants you to block the entrance and not let the bugs crawl out." Su Yuqing asked hurriedly, "How are things with Zhou Run?" "He's probably a goner." Lin Feng rubbed his eyes. At that moment, Zhou Run struggled to pull his beast claw from an insect's carcass. His vision was already blurry. He was surrounded by piles of insect corpses, and the air was thick with the smell of gunpowder. His only remaining flashlight could only illuminate a 10-meter radius. Countless unknown enemies were still hiding in the darkness. He couldn't remember how many contaminants he had killed. Exhaustion swept over his body. "My hands are too heavy to lift," he thought with a self-deprecating smirk. This xeno-nutrient pack isn't all that great. It only lasted for a little while. Suddenly, a foul stench rushed at him. He swiped his claw on instinct, but he only left a scratch on the contaminant's long neck. The gore on the beast claw had dulled its sharpness. The fatigue had also drained his strength. "Have I reached my limit?" Zhou Run panted, his heart filled with indignation. He was Qingyang's only inspector able to fight. He couldn't fall. Another shadow lunged. He was half a beat too slow. A sharp fang pierced through his waist. His body was hoisted into the air, and his right arm was bitten by another contaminant. He didn't even feel the pain. His brain must have numbed it. Are they trying to tear me to pieces? He thought in a daze. What an ugly way to die. Not cool at all. At least the team got away. And the map data should be in Su Yuqing's hands by now. The sound of hurried footsteps rang out, and an impact knocked him to the ground. Zhou Run opened his eyes and saw familiar figures in his blurry vision. Who told you to come back? Xiao Li, holding a short blade, stabbed the contaminant's neck and shouted, Old Sao, get Vice Captain Zhou out of here. Cao Hongyi rushed over and hoisted Zhou Run's half-human form onto his shoulders. Qin Liang provided cover from a distance with his remaining bullets. You bunch of idiots, you're no match for them. Did you come back just to die? Zhou Run cursed loudly. Our deaths would still be better than yours. Don't you always say you're the god of Qingjiang City? Trading 3 of us for 1 god is worth it. Xiao Li forcefully twisted her blade but was thrown off by the contaminant, tumbling into the darkness. Qin Liang cried out in alarm but was powerless to help. Idiot! Zhou Run was utterly enraged. He struggled and fell from Cao Hongyi's shoulder. But he couldn't get back up. Cao Hongyi hoisted him up again and ran headlong towards the exit. Cao Hongyi, you son of a bitch. Trading the 3 of us for 1 god is worth it. Cao Hongyi's voice was completely calm. Zhou Run wanted to curse again, but he choked on blood and couldn't speak. All that was left in his heart was endless hatred and despair. If only he could have held on for a little longer. His team wouldn't have had to make this sacrifice. He desperately wanted to become stronger. He wanted to protect everything here. Suddenly, the dim pit became as bright as day. The next second, he heard Lin Feng's voice. Vice Captain Zhou, you're not dead yet? Pretty impressive. Intense light made Zhou Diao's vision blur as he stared groggily at the figure within the glow. Thinking he must be hallucinating before death, Cao Hongyi suddenly lost his composure and yelled. I slid down the slope to the bottom of the pit and shouted, keep the light steady. From above, Wangfu Miao struggled to hold the large lamp up, replying, but it's really hot. I didn't quite hear her. As soon as I landed, I turned on the public dance speaker that Su Yuqing had commandeered. Deafening music instantly flooded the bottom of the pit. This sound can interfere with the contaminated that rely on hearing to locate their prey. And the bright light would reveal their positions. Amidst the music, I extended my bone blades. In this open space, these contaminated were nothing more than lambs to the slaughter. Qin Liang and his men stood there, frozen on the spot, probably unable to tell who the real monster in this nest was. In the corner lay an exceptionally large contaminated. Just as I got near it, Wangfu Miao shouted, be careful. The words had barely left her mouth when the contaminated's chest cavity burst open. A smaller one crawled out, and I immediately cut it down. I walked up to the large contaminated and thought for a moment, but didn't kill it. Instead, I dragged the dead one back into the viscous substance, packing it in. I waved at Wangfu Miao. Get down here. She scrambled down in a panic. I pointed to the contaminated that could no longer fight back and said, kill them all. Wangfu Miao clutched her hammer, hesitating. I decided to taunt her a little. You can take your time. Wait until Vice Captain Zhou breathes his last, then you can kill the contaminated for points. The people from the inspectorate are very magnanimous, they won't hold it against you. Wangfu Miao instantly panicked. She frantically started swinging her hammer. You have killed 1 pseudo-A rank contaminated. Points awarded, 200. She looked back, pleasantly surprised. I have 200 points. My expression remained calm. Redeem them for injections and take them over there. She quickly redeemed them for 3 vials of recovery agent. She gave Zhou Diao 2 shots, then gave one to the injured Xiao Li, adding a word of caution. If the injuries are too severe, it'll take longer to recover than last time. With that, she ran back to keep smashing the contaminated. Point notifications kept popping up. She was as busy as a bee. Meanwhile, I dragged the ones she killed back into the viscous mass. Qin Liang and his men watched us work, their expressions complex. Vice Captain, what's our next move? The team members glanced at each other, trying to suppress their laughter, and helped him out of the cave. Sure enough, new contaminated hatched from the viscous substance in the pit. I hacked off their fangs and said to Wangfu Miao, keep killing. The point notifications started to diminish. Panting, she said, the points have already been halved. The contaminated's name has the word, pseudo, after it, and the mission progress is still at 0. This large one is actually an incubator. The The ones that came after are getting smaller and smaller. The points are down to just 10. After this one, we'll kill the big one. She paused, asking uncertainly, can I really do it? I was keeping track of the time and growing impatient. I grabbed her hand and forced it towards the large contaminated. Maybe because it had birthed so many offspring, the contaminated was too weak. A huge hole was smashed into it with a single blow. Don't stop, I said, letting go of her hand. She gritted her teeth and swung the hammer relentlessly, until the mission progress suddenly jumped to 100%. You have killed one A-rank contaminated. Points awarded, 850. Wangfu Miao Miao's eyes lit up, but in the next second, she was stunned by the sight before her. Silver cards were materializing one after another on the large contaminated's body. In the end, there were a full 17 of them. I was much calmer than she was. I studied the faces of the cards and murmured. The ant card is the most common among them. I mused that the centipede and mantis cards had similar traits. The contamination value for digesting it shouldn't be high, so I grabbed a snail card first. You have obtained the red Oni card. It allows you to move freely in complete darkness. It is extremely fast and possesses claws with an astonishing bite force. However, the cardholder is prone to losing their sanity and becoming more insect-like. A moment later, the prompt popped up again. The red Oni snail has been digested. Your deck has grown. Contamination value, 8. A new arm grows from your body. It can quickly transform into indestructible claws, and your night vision has also been enhanced. Please name your new skill. The corners of my mouth curled up. The contamination value only went up by 1, and my hunger has subsided a little. Since I already have Mom's longing and Mom's scolding, I'll call this one Mom's embrace.